Hey everybody, Cliff Yates. Welcome to the Cliff Yates Show. Cliff Notes for living a great life. And today, I want to give full credit to Arthur C. Brooks. He is a professor of happiness at Harvard University. And so some of what I got today was from an interview with him. He has a new book coming out, The Meaning of Life. We're going to delve into that book. I'm going to share everything I learned from that book with you. Maybe you and I can both fellowship and meditate and chew on those words and ideas that can better enhance our life if we'll apply those principles and values. You know, we get caught up in the behavior science lingo, right? What it means. Oh, our prefrontal cortex does this. You know, the left hemisphere is responsible for, the right is responsible for that. And we get caught up in the definitions and the lingo, the way we talk about how the brain functions and works. Things that we can't see or feel, and they're hard to relate to. But it is helpful to have a model of these things. Because when we have a model of life, model of things, then we can stand in awe of the real thing. So it is important to have a model of how our brain works and how life works and how we can enhance our own life. And then we can stand in awe of reality, of real life, real worldly things. You know, when an author sits down to write a novel, or we read a novel, and it brings a tear to our eye, neither the author nor I, nor you, is thinking about what's going on in the hemispheres of our brain. That's not what we're thinking about. The language of sciences, those are things we can't touch or see. But we can definitely see the beauty of a woman, the attractiveness of a woman, how we feel when we look at a sunset, the emotional memories and creative images in our head when we're listening to music from the 1970s. The association we have with those songs, the emotional memories that are conjured up when we listen to them. It takes us back to a time and place from long ago. We know those things, those feelings, those thoughts, those are tangible to us. And we can understand the horror of war. We can understand those things. But modern life, if we apply ancient philosophies to modern life, the tip of the spear in modern life is really technology, the overuse and the misuse of technology. It pushes everybody. It pushes all of us into one side of our brain, into one hemisphere of our brain. That part of the brain, that side of the brain that's analytical, that's technological, right? That analyzes things, numbers side of the brain, pushes us all over constantly into that side of the brain, instead of allowing us to live in full range, right? We should be experiencing the full range of our emotions, right? Good and bad. That's the healthy balance of how we should be experiencing our life today. But in modern culture today, we're pushed into the left side constantly, and we're not living the full range of our emotions. Our great-great-great-grandfathers, right? Our great-great-grandfathers, think about it. They never came home and said, honey, behind the plow today, I had a panic attack. No, because they were out there living their life naturally, in nature, and naturally in touch with the divine. They were naturally allowing their brain to do what it's supposed to do. The brain was working as it should back in the days. And because of technology that dominates our lives largely today, right? We have to live old school on purpose. We have to do it intentionally. I'm going to go into the gym today, right? And probably, so now, by going into the gym, working hard, throwing around heavy weights, really applying great effort, right? Changing my physiology, what I focus on, the language that I say to myself. I'm artificially really probably creating those times of old, right? Farmer days when great-great-grandfather was out in the barn at 5 a.m. milking the cows, getting ready, getting in that tractor, turning over the soil, right? Observing the patterns of life and nature by knowing when to plant, when to weed, when to harvest, naturally allowing our brain to work as it should. But now, today, with current technology, we have to do this on purpose, right? We have to do it with intention. Arthur Brooks, and I reference him, and I give thanks to him. As a matter of fact, when he does his podcast on, right, the science of happiness, which is what he studies, and he often mentions, and as I do, right, that ongoing study at Harvard University, the science of happiness, what makes us happy, been going on for 85 years, generation after generation, right? Using technology as it progresses to better study, right, the lives of people and how they look back on life and what makes them happy, right? In the end, it was the deepening of certain relationships, right? The quality of life is a direct reflection of our relationships. Money, to a certain extent, moved the needle of happiness. But in the end, it was the quality of our relationships, not the quantity. Not that you can't have or go after more, but if you have 1, 2, or 3 deep relationships, that was enough to have a high quality, fulfilling life to look back on without regret. Arthur Brooks. And I love copying and using his stuff that he talks about. And I can't wait to get his books, The Meaning of Life, the new book coming out tomorrow. And The Science of Happiness. And, he says his whole mission is to bring people up and bring them together. And interestingly enough, he always says, take my stuff, share it with other people. We need to have more life ambassadors that have missions to bring people up and bring them together. And we have to keep trying to make more of us out there. And that's why I'm sharing this stuff with you. For one thing, it deepens my learning because it causes me to prepare when I'm going to have a podcast like this, something that I'm doing without pay. But as I prepare, I learn better, learn more, and it sets deeper into my soul the things that I've been learning because I know I'm going to be sharing them with you, and I'm going to do that in the most efficient way that I possibly can. Arthur Brooks, and he teaches his students when he's teaching his happiness course, he tells them, okay, this is how your brain works. Now, drop the technology. Go out and fall in love. Go out there and fall in love. Connect with somebody else. Look in their eyes. Fall in love with somebody. Notice them. Connect with them. Go see and experience a sunset. Drop the technology. Go out. Experience the sunset. Go look at it. Let your brain do what it's supposed to do. And that's what we have to do today. Get it out of our own way and let our brain do what it's supposed to do. It works beautifully. If we'll let it. Only us. We are the hindrance to our brain working properly. I've got to read that book, Seneca. Again, I have the book Seneca on the shortness of life and where he was writing a letter to his father-in-law, Paulinus. And I'm going to quote, and think about these words very carefully, right? This is Seneca writing to his father-in-law. You are living as if destined to live forever. Your frailty never occurs to you. You don't notice how much time has already passed, but squander it as if you have a full and overflowing supply of all the while that very day which you're devoting to somebody or something may be your last. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all you desire. Coming to the realization of our own immortality, the finitude, right? The finitude of our own life. How does that serve our happiness? Coming to grips with our own mortality, the realization. How does that serve our pursuit of happiness? Arthur Brooks says, when something scares you, you appreciate it more. Do you have a mother or a father who's still alive? If you do, think about this. Think about this. Ask the big questions that we don't know the answers to. Ask these types of questions. Think of your mother and father, if either one of them are still alive or both. How many more Thanksgivings do you have left with them? Wow, we don't know. It's fewer than we think. It's not 100. It's fewer than we think. That scarcity makes it sweeter. Scarcity leads to the sense of sweetness of something. That scarcity, that scarcity. Get that in your head. Ask that question. How many more Thanksgivings do I have with my mom or dad? Or yeah, that scarcity creates sweetness of life. It creates value. Something else I learned today from Arthur C. Brooks, and I have to research this. And this seems pretty amazing to me. It's a model that we can apply to our own life. He talks about these Tibetan monks. And once a day, they come out into this big hall, I guess, of the monastery, and they look at 9 pictures of death, various degrees of death, from recently dead all the way to bones just about to turn to dust. And they spend 2 months, they spend 2 minutes focused on each of these pictures. And they say to themselves out loud, that is me. That is me. That is me. It's exposing yourself to the inevitability of truth such that you can finally be free of trying to escape it. Once you can't escape it, you'll be free of trying to escape it. And you'll be fully alive today. And that's the purpose. Can we do that? Can we model that? Can we recreate that? Absolutely. We can do that. Arthur Brooks talked about a book, Immortality. I don't have it. I got to get it. I've got to read it. And it talks about this. I can understand my physical body will die, but I can't grasp that I won't exist. Conjures up a bunch of questions of how we can apply our life, right? Some of us become Christians. We know our body will die, but we know we're going to continue to exist. Solves that problem. Some people cannot handle non-existence. They can't grasp non-existence. So they come to grips with cognitive dissonance, right? They act as if they're not going to die. That's how they deal with not being able to grasp non-existence. They go through life not accepting that they're going to die. They don't act as if they're going to die. That's how a lot of people go through life. Seneca said we should live well. We should live for leisure, living a philosophical life. That's what Seneca said back in 49-ish AD. But what about modern life, modern culture? We have to go to work every day. Seneca didn't have to go to work every day. How do we apply this philosophy to modern life? There's a man, Pieper. I got to read his book, the author Pieper. I guess it was 1964. And he kind of wrote how we can really apply this type of philosophy that Seneca talks about with today's modern culture, right? How we can apply this to modern life. And he kind of equated, I guess Pieper equated this to, right, a CEO and then chilling on the beach. Chilling on the beach is not leisure, it's laziness. Leisure, we have to get good at leisure, right? It's a skill that we can develop. Leisure is an excellent pursuit to which we're not compensated with the world's rewards. And Pieper puts this in three kinds of things that goes to what Seneca talks about, but Pieper puts it in the baskets that we can kind of comprehend for today's culture. These three baskets. Number one, deepening our most important relationships. Number one, get good at leisure with these three things. Put it in these three buckets. Get good at these three buckets. Deepening our relationships, our most important relationships. Number two, deepening your sense of faith or life philosophy. Number three, learning things that are worthwhile learning. I talk about getting addicted to be a lifelong learner. What a pleasure that is. How enjoyable that is. Doing these things because they're intrinsically good. Nobody's paying you. It's intrinsically good. Then you find your life balance when you do those things. Then you know it's worth going to work. It's worth going to work. And you have a reason to go home. So I'm living this today. And I want you to live right now, today, this way. Today. Starting right now. This is day one. I am deepening my personal relationships, my most important relationships. My sons, my grandkids, my mom, my close associates, my church fellowship group, the people that I most always interact with. I'm deepening my faith and philosophical life. I'm going to church fellowshipping. I'm reading the Bible. I'm listening to the pastor, and I'm applying what he says, right? I'm meditating on the Word. I'm chewing on the Word daily, as the Bible says to do. And then I'm learning new things constantly, reading new books that are worthwhile learning, that I can apply to my life right now, today. I'm interviewing people on my podcast, not getting paid for it. I'm becoming more and more guests on other people's podcasts without compensation. Learning from other people, learning by sharing what I've learned with other people. Constantly aware of the scarcity of life, which makes it sweet, which makes life sweeter. Every day in every way. Make it sweeter every day in every way. Hey, everybody, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on a podcast platform, auditory only, thank you. Hey, like, follow, subscribe. Hey, and if you're listening only, like I said, go on over to the YouTube channel. Check it out. Check it out. Leave a comment, like, share with somebody who needs to hear these kinds of things, and let's make life sweet today. All right, you know I love you. I'll see you in the next episode.